Analysis. Let's jump right into the SPY chart, S&P 500. Overall, it was a pretty tremendous rally here yet on Wall Street. After Friday seeing pretty much closing near the lows on the Friday session, a massive gap up today sent the market soaring and roaring. And the question is, this pattern right now is looking to be the start of another flagging bull flag pattern to take us to the next level. We've backtested a key pivot zone, this high impulse green candle zone, and we've held for the time being. The only concerning part is there are a lot of gaps to the downside on the S&P 500 and other indices, but nevertheless, we are looking strong from this point if we can continue this momentum. Now, of course, after a big rally, price action needs to digest. That's certainly what we saw today. Within the first hour, you can see SPY gapping up, having a huge surge, and then just going through multi-hours of downward consolidation. This is actually technically very, very healthy. You don't just want to see green candle after green candle after green candle. And what could be shaping up here on the SPY hourly chart is a potential inverse head and shoulder. We've now formed and are forming a potential right shoulder on SPY. And if this were to break out, you can clearly see a really sizable neckline to the upside, which gives us another 1.5% move to the upside. Now, the question is, are we going to break out ahead of Wednesday and J-Powell? Likely not. The breakout or breakdown is likely going to happen when J-Powell hits the stage with the FOMC interest rate decision and the press conference at 2 p.m. So if this pattern were to break out, which is looking very likely, we're looking for an upside target of around 612 in the near term. Now, let's just erase all of these key trend lines and show you this very, very interesting hourly chart wedge pattern that we're observing. So if you stick on the hourly chart of SPY, you can clearly see that there's this upper boundary wedge pattern if you draw it that way, and there was this lower boundary wedge pattern like this. So SPY did get rejected on the lower boundary wedge pattern, and it's now consolidating. But I do think that there's a strong chance it could retest this upper boundary and just slowly start to grind along it until we get a bigger directional move to the upside. And if you want to be a little bit more conservative, we are creating now yet again a potential different wedge pattern now that we have a new pivot low. This could be a new pattern, a wedge pattern that SPY is forming. Obviously, you have resistance around 607, 608, and that is an upsloping trend line, so it is changing as time progresses. And then we can see we have a downsloping or an upsloping trend line of support at this lower boundary range. So there's some clear resistance and support levels in place on this hourly chart of SPY. Ultimately, I do think that SPY is likely going to press higher for the 625 zone. That's a major confluence area. That sets new all-time highs. If you look at some of these semiconductor charts, names like AMD, obviously breaking out to the high side, MU continuing. NVDA hasn't really broken out yet, but still trending super, super strongly and firmly. Meta's looking to break out to the high side. Microsoft set yet again a new high today. Apple's lagging the market quite drastically, but finding some near-term support. Google's trying to get going. That chart's looking pretty decent. Tagging the lower boundary wedge pattern. Then you look at Amazon. Amazon's trying to get going as well and break through this previous little resistance and is looking very, very likely. And then you look at Tesla's chart. Tesla 4-hour chart looks quite intriguing. I discussed this on the live stream with members. Take a look at this potential inverse head and shoulders on TSLA. Forming your right shoulder now. This looks primed for a breakout. And if it breaks out of this bullish pattern, we could likely see a move to 400 plus on Tesla, which implies just around a 22% move to the upside. Hope this analysis helps. Please give the video a like down below and see you on the charts a little bit later.